come up with photographers, take picture of Tyrone Power, washing clothes. So the captain said, "Oh, you guys get over that way, get out of the way." Well, he moved over too, and they said, "No, you stay there." And he says, "No, if you can't take picture of my friends," he said, "you can't take picture of me."
Mm.
He was real nice.
Yeah.
So they had to take picture of the bunch, but I imagine they tore it up. But he was a real nice fellow.
That photo might be around. You never know. It's probably worth something now.
Well, that could be, yeah.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what, the kids now, you know, you were talking about the kid had now have no knowledge of everything that took her, especially like in Europe of the prisons and stuff down there. I, I've I've talked to the kids in high school, you know, classes, three of them I think it was, three or four, and they I don't really think they comprehend what is taking place, or so many of them don't understand, you know, the deal.
Yeah. Okay. So you were in the hospital when the war ended, right?
What?
You were in the hospital when the war ended? You said you were in the hospital when the war ended?
When I what?
When the war ended, you were in
Yes.
the hospital?
Yeah.
Okay.
When the bomb went off and on.
Yeah. How did you feel about that when you heard that the war had ended?
Well, I thought that was great because so many people were going to die, you know, and so that's when my tour was over. I had to re-enlist, but I wanted to come home, re-enlist, and then go back. And they said, no, you have to re-enlist here. And I said, no, I don't want to re-enlist here. I want to go home. And so I didn't re-enlist, so they sent me home. I got my discharge, and I was going back in. I was going to go back in, but Jack Bogle, you know Jack Bogle, well, he was a battery commander
With the
National Guard here, and of course I was working for Bogles, and so he talked me into joining. In fact, that discharge I saw it this morning. I spent time there with him, and then I had too much to do, and so I told him I had to resign from that.
Okay. Now, another question that I have before we move on to what you did after the war is how did you feel about the people that you were fighting at that time?
Well, you know, to me, they were peons just like me. In a lot of instances, yes, I had an awareness of what we had. I knew the Japanese had attacked Pearl Harbor, which I didn't appreciate, and Hitler was taking over and abusing people and what have you, which I didn't appreciate. That's the upper deal. That's the big shots down there. The people who were down here fighting, probably half of them were like me, didn't know that much about it, or even cared maybe. I was aware, and you know, I didn't appreciate them bombing Pearl Harbor, and so I felt like I needed to do my part, you know. And, but I know that them Japanese, other than they were taught to die for the empire, I don't think they had any knowledge of what the hell it was all about, you know. So, in my humble opinion, I think that, you know, I'll venture to say that probably 30% of the people in the United States, maybe because of the economy, don't know too much about the war you know, that they're having down there, that we're having down there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm no politician, but I think that was a bad move. In fact, General Powell told the President Bush when they were talking about attacking General Powell told him and said, "You're buying a war." He said, he was against it. Very smart man. And so sometimes decisions above made isn't the best. You know, like this one here in Vietnam, I guess was the same way. I guess Vietnam was a bad deal, bad situation.
Okay. What do you think is maybe your strongest memory of your experiences during the war? What's your most vivid memory that you have from the war?
Well, I'll put it this way. I wouldn't miss it for the world, but I wouldn't want to do it again. I think I'd done my duty. I think I'd done my share. And I felt like it was something that had to be done. You know, and I don't know if that is good, but I just felt like it was something that I had to do because of the situation. Mm-hmm. And I was smart enough to know a little bit about what was going on. Right. Yeah.
Do you have like one specific memory from the time that you were in the war that kind of stands out in your mind?
One particular time. Well, I have some. I jumped ship in New Zealand. That is, I didn't jump ship. I was going with a nurse. And we were there for the maneuvers and what have you. And this other kid and I, Will Frankel, we put on we had our dress uniform on, then we put work uniform over it. So we went out and just told the guy at the gate that we were on a work party. So we get out there, and then behind the ambos, what they were loading and whatever, and took our clothes off, and then we went down and met the girls. We come back, and it was 11:30, and we put our work pants on and went aboard the ship, and we had got up there and taken our work clothes off and what have you, and pulled anchor and went back to Guadalcanal. So I almost jumped ship. That stands out as a deal. Yeah. It's several things like that, you know, that happen. Amongst the bad, there was a lot of good. Yeah. And then what stands out too is the people I met. I've met a lot of nice people, and some that I still get cards from, you know. And there's been 2 or 3 of them that have passed away. I haven't heard from Johnson the last 2 or 3 years, and he was a year older than I, so I don't know if he passed away or what. But I never did hear from his wife. So you know, it's just memories, fond memories.
And Franco, is he still? Franco is still around? Your friend Franco?
Oh, Franco. I haven't heard from him the last 2 years, but I called him the last time, and he's let's see, he's 18 days older than I am, so he's 85 and deal. And so I need to call him and see if he's still alive. We called him Beak because he had a big nose.
Did you have a nickname?
Yeah, they called me Cuckoo Bear. I don't know why. Cuckoo Bear.
Cuckoo Bear. That's a good one. So when did you return to the U.S.?
In 1946, I think it was.
Yeah, do you remember the month?
Do
you remember the month?
No, you know I'm gonna have to get that.
Okay.
I can get that when I got. I'll find my my discharge. It has all the time.
Hold on.
I got here and what have you.
Hold on.
It shows.
Hold on.
What happened?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's not you. That's fine.
It shows I
Might be
have all
over
the
here
dates
again.
and stuff on that.
Ow.
The mic went out again?
Yeah, hope I don't have a short in this thing. It's like burning through.
We'll wait a second here. We're having a little problem with the mic.
Sure, my luck, you won't ever hear from it anyway.
What do you say?
I tell the girls, they say, well, you need to tell all these stories and whatever. I say, who in the heck wants to listen to my bull?
Do you have that soda? Maybe give him a drink?
Yes,
Yeah.
right here.
Why don't you get a drink while we're waiting?
So what does your husband do?
He
Look at
works at the Tempe Art Center.
Oh, Tempe Arts. Arts and Crafts. Oh. Yeah, I remember where that's at.
He does exhibits.
Huh?
He creates
I think I should
exhibits.
joke already. That's
You did what?
He creates exhibits.
Exhibits, huh?
Yeah.
Good.
Hangs up paintings and he paints and he
Uh-huh.
builds things. He's a carpenter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that that new Tempe Art Center,
Yeah.
that huge one?
The
That's
huge one.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Pulled for one. I'll take that. What do you have?
It's hard to talk about, but that's the stuff that,
Hmm?
that's the stuff that the people wanna know though, you know,
Hmm.
the kids and stuff, but
Well, then, and then some of the gory things too. I was no worse than the other Marines. I wanted souvenirs. In fact, I lost my souvenirs at Okinawa after the island was secure. We were bivouacked along the ocean and had a typhoon come up. The ocean swelled 20 feet. Three ships grounded when the ocean went back out, and we had our camp along the ocean, and I had a sea bag with a hair carry knife, a flag, a Japanese flag, and quite a few other things. And the ocean come in and took the tent and everything, and the only thing that stayed was my rifle, was hanging up on the post right here. All my souvenirs swept out. It just made me so mad. I grabbed that rifle and threw it out in the ocean. And I'll never forget the sergeant said, "Karkula, you get caught doing that, you're going to be in trouble." And I said, "I don't give a damn." I said, "All my souvenirs are gone." And he said, "Oh, you're kidding." I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I don't blame you." We used to take, this is gory too. It'd be Japanese soldiers dead, you know. Well, they used to put boogie straps underneath them. And then you run up there and pull the body, explode, kill a Marine, you know. So we used to take, we had a rope, we'd put about 15 foot of rope, or 20 feet. We'd go and we'd real slow tie the rope onto them, and then go back, get behind a stump or a rock or something and pull the rope, turn it over and it'd explode. So it'd blow them Japs all to pieces.
Wow.
That's gory.
Yeah.
Can you imagine doing that?
No, I can't. Yeah.
Well, we did.
I know a lot of things happen out there.
Yeah. I was set up. I was a BAR man, like I said. We moved back to this rest area. There was a hill there. A hill. And there was an opening, just about the size of that right there, you know, cave. Well, a couple of the guys decided they want to go in and see if there's ever any souvenirs in there. Well, they got in there pretty good ways and they got shot. There were Japanese soldiers in there. And so they come crawling out. And, I'm trying to think of the one, Tennessee. One was Tennessee. They call him Tennessee. Brought him out. Well, they set me up. The B said, "Karkula, set your machine gun up." And he says, "Fire into that hole. Every minute or two, give them a spurt." So they come out while the demolition men were working on the side of the mountain, digging and putting charges to blow the hole, which they did. But this one Tennessee died. They thought that he had been shot and the bullet come out on the other side, but he had two shots, one on each side. And when I drug him out and he sat up and he said, don't, they wanted to lay him down on a stretcher. He said, no, I can't breathe. Leave me standing. Yeah, he's from Tennessee. And the other was Georgia. The other guy was Georgia, but he didn't get hurt. He was Tennessee. Right there in camp. Of course, we're there. So that's why we had to be careful with outposts.
Right. We had to,
Yeah.
for protection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm curious to know, can you tell me what was important about the souvenirs? Why were they important to you guys?
Because you could go to Henderson Field with a flag, you could get probably 5 or 6 quarts of Seagram 7. Or you could trade for cash, $100 for a flag, or for, like my hair carry knife, that was worth quite a bit of money. Real nice. In fact, I have one of them I kept. I have a souvenir there. I showed it to her. It's a little box that I got off of a Japanese soldier. Yeah, that was, the Marines would do anything, get a souvenir. Even put their life in there on the line.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very intense.
Huh?
Very intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then some of them, I didn't go for that deal, but some of them, quite a few of them, all the Japanese had gold teeth. Coming home, I'll never forget coming home. There were 2 or 3 of the guys had little salt sacks full of gold teeth. Never using that instead of money. A gold tooth was a $5 bill or whatever. And then go and pull the damn teeth off of these dead Japanese.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That never, we didn't think of. For some reason, you got immune to all the situation.
Yeah. Well, I think part of that is that your mind has to adapt.
Hmm?
I think your mind has to adapt to the environment that you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. I had my son-in-law had me come down and talk to his class. Oh, this has been a year or 2. And I got some real nice, I was looking at them, some nice letters from these kids thanking me, whatever. And the only one that I didn't get to listen to was a Japanese girl. And I thought she was probably embarrassed, I was going to talk like I did. But I did get a little letter from her saying she apologized because she couldn't make it or something. But that's where I say that these kids didn't have the inkling of what took place and what have you. Not interested in geography or whatever.
Now, so in 1946, you came back to the U.S. And what do you remember about the day that you left service?
The day I left service? Well, let's see. I caught the. I had to wait a couple hours, and this was at Newport Beach. Newport Beach. The Camp Pendleton's where I got my discharge, and I had to go to the Newport Beach, and then I caught a bus. I could have went and waited for the Marines to go to San Diego, but I caught a bus because I was anxious to get home. So I got a ticket, and I was glad to come home. I was glad to come home. However, I had in mind to rejoin the Marine Corps, and if it hadn't been for the fact that I had come home in order to get re-enlisted, I'd have probably been in there now, or probably, God knows where I'd have been. But then I got home, and I went to work for a fellow named Tex Electrical deal. I went to work for him, and I worked for him for about a month, and the longer I waited, why, the less I thought about it. And then when Jack approached me about joining the National Guard, I just forgot all about the Marine Corps. And,
So how did you feel? You're coming back on the bus. How did you feel about coming into Chandler when you saw Chandler again?
coming back into Chandler,
Mm-hmm.
well, it was nice, to be home. I'll never forget the incident that happened, is a situation at a restaurant. I come home in my uniform and what have you, and in Gila Bend, we stopped at a restaurant there, and I was standing, and I was the only one standing. There was no more seats, and there was a younger fellow was sitting there, and the cook come around with a butcher knife, and he said to him, he said, "You see that Marine back there?" And the fellow said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, by God, well, I want you to get up and give him your chair," which embarrassed me, Just a young kid, whatever. I remember that very plainly, because that wasn't what I went out to fight for, or something like that.
Gotta pause, sorry.
Turner, he was in the Battle of the Bulge.
No, honey.
The
The village. We went to this village, and they had all these shacks, and they all have a little. You walk in, there's a little cubby hole up here on top. I walked in, and I stood on that door. Oh, I don't know, looking around for what have you. Went on in by. Another kid come right behind me, and there was a Jap there. They shot him.
Wow.
Could have been me. I know. But I'll tell you another little story. This has nothing to do with it. When we were in Camp Pendleton, this one kid went out and bought an old jalopy car. I don't know, $150 or something. We all pitched in and bought the car. So we'd go to Los Angeles to the USOs, We had this one kid, we called him Red because he was redheaded as he could be. We got there, when we got to USO, we had a table sitting there. And of course, we had the movie stars and all come in, and we danced with them. Well, after he got feeling pretty good, he decided he wanted a certain record to be played, and it was this famous orchestra. I can't think of the name. I think one of them real famous deals. Anyway, he went up and asked for him to play this song because his girl had broke up with him, and so he wanted to hear this song.
Probably In the Mood.
Huh?
Was it In the Mood by In the Mood? That's a famous song.
No, I can't remember what it was. It was a song that meant a lot to him for his girl. Well, he waited. He had 2 or 3 more beers. Pretty soon he was pretty drunk. About the 3rd time they hadn't played his song, he jumped up on the platform and said, "Stop the music." This is God's truth. Stop the music. Stop the music. And Max Beer, I don't know if you know anything about boxing. I do because I was boxing. Max Beer had a brother named Buddy Bear, who fought heavy duty, and he come down, and he was a small giant. Well, he got Red by the carrying him, brought him to the table, carrying him like that, and he said, "Okay, boys, let's go." And he threw us out. He kicked us out. That kid, I'll never forget that. He really took it hard. His gal kicked him, broke up with him. That's some of the.
Yeah, that's a funny memory that you have.
Yeah, there's some of the. There's some good and bad, you know.
Hey, Gene,
Okay.
I was just kind of interested. Was there any kind of rituals that they would do, you know, like when maybe dead soldiers or anything went by, or, you know, some kind of question like that?
Okay. Going back to, you were talking about some of those strong memories that you had, and you talked about when you're on Okinawa, and there were a lot of Marines that were coming out, and they had passed away, and they had them in trucks.